Welcome, dear friends. Before the third part begins, I would like to add something that was still a topic somewhere in the first part, but was not really answered. You may remember that right at the beginning, as a greeting, I told Kerry K that I felt freed from a burden. And this came up a little short. Kerry probably related it to herself and brought her representation to it. But it has little to do with my burden. I'll just briefly recapitulate that now. In fact, it happened that in 1991, 1992, I learned about a young man who was in a coma for a long time and came out of it. An Englishman named Mark Bosman, who called himself Ananda later. He came out of the coma and was a different person. And I heard about it from a good friend who lived with Osho for many, many years. After Osho died, he came back and said something very, very big happened. Someone came to us with a very important message. You just have to listen to it. Very few people knew him. This was a real insider tip. It still is, actually. And Ananda was then the one I met in 1992, I think, at the latest in Berlin. And then he reported exactly what is going to happen, what we are talking about now. And please imagine a young man coming up to you, or actually independent of age, telling these stories. For me, absolutely believable, I have to say. But I knew quite well when it comes to ascension, awakening, timelines that are all joining together, that several selves of ours, parallel selves, will be dissolved, karma will be dissolved. A big topic, all of which was imparted to him in coma by an entity group called Emmanuel, referred to Christ consciousness, as he said himself. This exactly was shown and told to him. Surely this cannot be imparted. Above all, from a time in 1992, who believed in it? There were many exotic subjects, of course, even at that time, but I hardly had any proof and told only very few friends about it. And even they looked at me in a crazy way and said, well, anyone can claim that. Today we know it, and now you can imagine why I really felt relief from a burden. Because as explicit as Kerry is talking about these issues, oh my God, this reminds me so much of what I was shown back then when it came to the concept of Earth 2.0. This is a creation that I myself derived from it, the new world, so to speak, that comes with awakening. And now, please look forward to the third part. There will certainly be more parts, more interviews. But this is already something very, very special. And I thank you very much that you are here, that you exist, that we exist. Thank you.
The air around you is alive. It wasn't before. It wasn't. You know, Dieter, so many people say to me, Kerry, I'm scared of ascension because what if I die? And do you know what I say to them? I say to them, don't worry, you're dead already. Ascension is when you start living. Ascension is when you come to life. You just don't know that you're dead. You just don't know. You don't recognize that the air around you has been lifeless and stale. How do I know this? I know this because when I was very sick and I was in between life and death, I realized, my God, the air around me when I was there at the brink of death, it was electric, it was supercharged, it was prickly. Yeah. Because it was so alive. And I was so alive in what many people would call the death state. And then I would come back to what people call the living state. And I would say, but what's wrong with this picture? Because the air here is dead. It's stale. It's stagnant. That's the world we were born to. That stagnancy and that death-like world is the one we were born to. But we are literally coming alive inside ourselves because the air around us is cosmically supercharged right now with every single signal meant to switch the body on. All that we have to do is connect with that. Yeah. And I know that that sounds simple, but I want to tell you something. I have an online community and I tell them the same thing repeatedly. They probably get so sick of me, but we cannot hear this enough. And that is, simple does not mean easy. What I'm saying to you is very simple. All you've got to do is just be in presence. All you've got to do is just learn to integrate, receive, be with the cosmic presence in the air around you. But simple doesn't mean easy. What it means is it's not complicated, but I must be dedicated. I must apply myself to learn these skills, to learn these techniques, to be present. This is a mastery. It sounds simple, but to be present is a masterful exercise. And now is exactly the time in our lives where we all get to become masterful, because we are all masters. The only ones who don't know that is ourselves. We're the ones who don't know who we really are. We are and always have been masters. And we return to our mastery when we allow ourselves to reconnect beyond the brain, beyond the false matrix, with the true self.
Kerry, I feel that it's exactly like this, and I think every viewer knows it too. For me, it's a little easier as a scientist to just have the picture that everything we call matter, including our bodies, is nothing more than condensed, organized energy. Matter is vibration. Energy is a vibrational level. And we have a spirit that makes use of this vibration. That means the spirit is not only so significant according to the trivial motto mind over matter, but we are also the creators on all levels where our belief, our focus is directed. Above all, if it creates or is nourished from the state of inner joy, harmony, love, then exactly that happens what you should actually only allow, recognize again. And there we don't need to do any special exercises, just simply be aware of what we all are, and that until now we have left our mind to others to control. That will stop now.
Absolutely. 100%. That really is the answer.
Because, Kerry, at the same time in that state, when we recognize ourselves in that state, who we really are, we are love. When we recognize that, and that's what's at hand right now, it's already available to us as a gift. We just have to open ourselves to it. In that moment, our vibration is so high that nothing, really nothing unnatural can intervene, and we will automatically go into this process of ascension.
Absolutely. You know, we lived in a false matrix for so long, which was really founded on the principles of separation and division. That was the foundation of it, to keep us separate from ourselves, from each other, from our consciousness, from love. So now, as we talk about love, we understand I've got to learn, it's not a new skill, but I've got to learn to connect to something beyond the place that I've been trapped in, the world that I've been trapped in, because the world that we were trapped in was a world where we could use the word love. We could even have a linear understanding for what the word love was. But we are now entering a world where we can only experience love. In order for it to be transformative, it must be translated into an experience that the cellular matrix, the body itself, can feel and absorb and interact with and be a part of. So love is something beyond what we ever thought it was, because it's beyond the brain's understanding. It is a literal field of divinity that we are surrounded by right now. And, you know, if we just think about this, that I alluded to this earlier, that in the air around us right now as we speak, right now as everybody listens, in the air around us, like a cloud of consciousness, is our own divinity, our own soul. And our own soul is a being of love and wisdom. It's infinite and all-knowing. And that exists here in such a way that you can feel where it touches your skin. You can feel where it wraps itself around your chest and over your legs and under your feet and on top of your head and even touching your cheeks. Because the air around us is so alive right now. That's where love is. So if people were ever to say, yes, Dita, I hear you. Yes, Dita, I understand you. More love, more love. Okay. But how do I get more love? How do I be more love? How do I access more love? It's literally here in the air around us. And if we take that moment to feel it physically with the body, and then we go one step further. We not only feel it with the body, but we allow the body to breathe it in. So what I'm saying is, you may breathe it in through your nose, but actually it's the entire body that breathes in this energy field that we're surrounded by. And there is love. There it is. And it connects you to me, Dita. It connects us to all beings of consciousness, to the people who are listening, as well as to the people who are in proximity to the people listening.
Yeah.
That's the ripple that love is. And that is its power. And we are all in that field right now. We're in that field. And it's just that simple moment of witnessing it, acknowledging it, allowing it in. And you kind of imagine your skin like a sponge, which it is. And you imagine that your skin can just breathe this energy in. And there it is. You're done. You're in higher consciousness. Mission achieved.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you.
Thank you, Dita.
Kerry, the question that you are probably asked many times, I as well, I also ask myself, but I have an answer to the question, when will it happen? When is the moment? The moment that we call shift, the pole shift. However, these are all things referring to the solar flesh. So, when is the moment? The point of no return, the point where there is no going back, when the timeline split will happen, respectively the ascension.
We've passed the point of no return. We long past it. Where we're at right now. So when I say we're past the point of no return, what I'm saying to you is the architects of the false matrix cannot regain control over it. There are too many beings of too much consciousness to facilitate that to occur. The best that they can hope for right now is that they see, okay, we're going to lose Earth. We're going to lose this stronghold. The best that they can hope for is, number one, can we take some people with us? And number two, can we set up another planet to repopulate and recreate what we had going here on Earth? It's kind of like, from their perspective, it's kind of like saying, we had a good thing going on Earth. We don't want to give it up. So can we just carry it over to some new home, some other place? That's the only variable right now, is whether or not that plan of theirs is going to be achieved. The variable of will Earth ascend or not is not a variable. Earth is literally today in the process of ascending. And that may still take many years, but that's okay. We're in the throes of ascension. From the mind of a planetary body, a couple of years is like the blink of an eye. You know, a planetary being is millions, billions even of years old. So when I say to you, we're on the brink of ascension, I'm saying that to you from the planetary perspective. From the human perspective, oh gosh, this is a question every human being asks me. When is it going to happen? They get frantic, they get scared, they get worried. Yes. And I explain it to them like this. I say to them, imagine if you knew. Imagine if I say to you, on the 27th of October, 2025 at 3:00 in the afternoon, whatever, Eastern Standard Time, there it is, baby, that's ascension's going to happen. People would mark that date in their diary and they would stop growing because they would start waiting for ascension. They would say, well, there's nothing left for me to do, so I'm just going to spend all my money, go on holiday and wait for this ascension to happen. And that would derail ascension. Mm-hmm. Because what keeps us on track with ascension is the fact that we know we've got to keep moving. We know we've got to keep growing. But right up until a couple of days before ascension, we're not going to know it. We're not going to know ascension will happen until a few days before. Now, I've been incredibly blessed that I've witnessed ascension from the inside. I was shown a memory where I got to bilocate into myself in the throes of ascension. So I have had an experience of an ascension, our ascension, that takes place in the future.
Yeah.
But when I tell people that, the first thing they say is, when was it? And I say to them, I know that I'm not meant to know, for the very reason that I've just described to you. But furthermore, there is no set time, because I've had the privilege of going back to that moment numerous times. And every time I go back, there's nuances that are different. There's more people ascending. There's more ease. There's more light. There's more. Every time I go back, it's bigger, because we are growing. And as we grow, we also speed up ascension. So truly, nobody should have a date and time. Nobody can have a date and time. And if they do, I would suggest you run away, because the galactics themselves will tell you that they don't know, because it's under construction, as our own ascension is under construction, and we are the engineers and we are the builders of our own ascension. But it is inevitable. We have passed the point of no return already. And what's important for people to remember, because some people will say, yeah, but look at how many people on this planet are still so lost and hateful and spiteful and vengeful. And I agree, there are still so many. But in the blink of an eye, somebody can be switched on. In the blink of an eye, somebody can be catalyzed. Because what we fail to understand about time is that we're seeing it from the human perspective, where it appears that 1 second follows another. But from a higher dimensional perspective, everything's happening all at once, which means within 1 second, 1,000 years worth of growth can happen and be accessed. And that is why so many more people than you and I may even anticipate are going to ascend. They are going to. Yeah. And I say to people, be prepared, because very often we judge others and we say, oh, that person's not going to ascend. That person's not ready. That person is still judgmental or hateful or whatever the case might be. We may be very surprised as we see people ascending who we deemed to be unworthy, but in the blink of an eye are waking up. Yeah. Because this is what we're all capable of. People like you and I and the ones listening, however, we are front running and pioneering, which is why we need to be aware of this. Almost like we're monitoring the heartbeat of ascension. We want to be at the helm of ascension, whereas others are literally going to wake up at the very last second and go, whoa, oh gosh, that's obvious. Yes, I'm a being of love. Oh, of course I'm a being of enlightenment. And it's all going to be so instantaneous. And we might look at them and say, but how did that happen? We spent years learning. We spent years trying. Now you've got it in a second. That's not fair. Of course it's fair, because we all chose to do this differently. And there is no right way and wrong way. There's no better way and no worse way. But a lot of the people that we perceive to be asleep right now, they will ascend. And we cannot measure ascension based on the current level of consciousness, but rather on the potential that each human being holds within them right now. And when we are beings of light, we become the ripple, and that ripple is exponential. That ripple catalyzes the rest of the collective consciousness, sometimes in days, to awaken. And the closer we get to the ascension line, the more this process of catalyzing others occurs, which is why people get so triggered sometimes around light workers or around very spiritual people, because they're coming online and they might not be wanting to or ready to. They might be resisting it, but that's okay. We're not here to cater for beings who are being challenged by their own growth and by their own ascension. We are only here to be the highest version of ourselves, and we cannot control the ripple, the impact of what that means for the collective. We're not meant to control that. If this was 20 years ago, yes, we then needed to really put a lid on it. We needed then to not be noticed, not be seen, keep it quiet, keep it on the down low. But now it's very different. Every human being is responsible to be the highest version of themselves that they can be now.
Kerry, what words, what information. Exactly in the right time, as I see it, the most important time right now. I call this time the final time. And Kerry, I already want to thank you from the heart. And I wish that we keep contact, that we continue these conversations. I also need to digest this for myself now, and I want to ask you for a favor. Maybe you can briefly sum up. What advice can you give us now as a final sentence?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dieter. I really look forward to connecting with you so much more and to speaking with you so much more, to learning from you and to learning with you. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to interacting with more of your following because I can feel who they are. They're blessed and they're amazing people. And here's what I want to leave you with. We've been conditioned to live in a world of darkness. We know it. It's the false matrix. That's our conditioning. That's our programming. So as we deprogram ourselves from that conditioning, and as we awaken to the truth of who we are, we must start entertaining certain foreign ideas. And I want to give you one of those foreign ideas. Because as a human being conditioned to live in the false matrix, we say something like this. We say, oh, how much worse can it get? Or we say something like this, just my luck. Things are going badly. Oh, that's just my luck, you know. We don't realize how harmful that kind of energy is. See, it's not the words that we're saying. I don't want anybody to try change their words because that won't make a difference. It's the energy behind those words. It's the energy that drives those words. And it's the energy of defeat. It's the energy of expecting the worst to happen. There's a question that I want everybody listening to ask themselves, and that is the following. How good can this get? How good can my life unfold? How good can my bank balance be? How good can my health be? How easy can my spiritual awakening become? How seamless can the path ahead of me actually be? How good can this get? Every time you see a sunset that's beautiful, ask yourself, how much better could this possibly get? And you know what? When you ask that question, the universe starts answering and it says, let me show you. Let me show you how good it can get. Because you know what? We have no idea. We have no idea how good it can get. But we must learn and we must be open to learn. Now, as much as I teach people, you know, the hard way. Listen, guys, you've got to face yourselves. You've got to get real. You've got to get authentic. It's a warrior's journey. Sometimes it's really difficult. You've got to brace yourself for all of these things. Equally, we've also got to brace ourselves and prepare ourselves for light, for love, for community, for each other, for harmony, for bridging the gap as we're doing right now between English and German, between one way of thinking and another. We are all becoming bridges within ourselves to knit ourselves together. And when that happens, to knit humanity together. And then we all hold hands with each other and we say, oh, this is great, but how good can it actually get? So every time life shows you something beautiful, please ask that question so that you may begin the process of actually expanding yourself into more and more acceptance of your divinity because it's your birthright.
Thank you, Kerry. Really, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And I thank you, dear viewers. And isn't it beautiful that we exist? and that we are able to be on this journey together and will be. Thank you.